What is up, everyone? Welcome to NookTalk episode 2. I have my friends with me today. But before that, let me welcome the co-host today, Bobby, Nintendo Guru. What's up, man?
Yo, what is up, Patrick? How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, pretty good. And we have two special guests. First, returning to the channel, MissClick. What's up?
Hey, long time no see. Hi, guys.
And for the first time, we meet Rogersbase. What is up, man?
I'm feeling really good. I've been looking forward to this literally the entire day. So I'm stoked to talk about some Animal Crossing, some Nintendo, just some absolute greatness. It's going to be a good time.
So pumped. Quick update for you guys. This show is now available on Spotify, iTunes. Bobby, we're working on Google
We're
now.
working on Google. Google just hangs up all the time. It takes forever to get anything over there.
Okay.
But we have everything else. We're good to go, man.
Perfect.
All right.
Sweet. And then we have merch available in the description. Very exciting stuff. So I want to start off with a poll that I put on Twitter. I think I'm going to do this more often. And it's surrounding May Day. So we'll get your opinions after. But I basically said, how was your May Day event experience? And we let you guys decide. So 59% said, meh, expected more. 31% said, awesome, loved it. And 10% said, big letdown. So I will start with Roger.
Okay.
So we're talking about the Rover maze here.
Yeah. I liked it. I mean, I wasn't like blown away by it, but I thought it was cute. I thought for what it was, I thought it was cute. It was surprisingly difficult the first time that I actually went through it because I wasted the first cherry on like a shovel thing instead of an axe thing. And then I just recently today with my second character account figured out how to break all 3 of the rocks in the bottom left corner.
Oh, yeah.
And so now I got all these extra bell vouchers. But on the whole, yeah, I thought it was cute. I mean, I've been looking forward to seeing Rover in HD for a long time now.
Yes.
So him just showing up was cute. I like that. And I like the little suitcase item and everything like that. But I actually have not done any additional Mayday maps if there are any. If that's like the only Mayday
that's the
island.
thing, because that I believe there's only one. I believe that was the only one.
Oh, well, then that is kind of disappointing. But, I mean, I liked what little I played, though. I thought it was cute that they had the little maze, and I liked getting Rover's briefcase. So, yeah.
Okay. MissClick, how about you?
I have to do that this evening. I haven't got to play it yet, so I don't really have any thing on it. But I will say, when we watched the trailer for it, because I hadn't saw the trailer yet, we watched it on stream, and I freaked out because I love Rover. Rover is one of my favorite characters of like all Animal Crossing, and I was like so excited because I didn't see him in the trailer right away. Like I was looking at the maze, like what's in there, and then someone's like, "Go back." Who do you see on the island? And it was Rover, and I freaked out. I was like, his little sweater, it's him, he's here. So very excited. I'll be playing it this evening though.
Cute.
So Bobby, we talked the last show. We're like, maybe he can move into our towns. They kind of got us with the fire there. So what did you think about it? I mean, it was one map. It was the item was okay. It's pretty cool.
It's trash.
Listen,
this is my problem.
How could you say it was trash?
Because here's what happened.
This is how we're starting the show.
This is how we're starting the show. This is how we're starting the show. Because I didn't realize you couldn't go back. And I left because it was late at night when I went in. And I was tired. And then the next day I was like, okay, I can go back in. I'm like, no, you're out. One shot, one and done. That's it. I'm like, damn. I was like, if I would have known that, I would just put the game to sleep and rather than going back. You know what I mean? So I felt like there was some miscommunication. Like from what I was seeing, I had assumed, and that's my bad. I thought that I could leave and then come back in. It would kind of leave me where I was at the moment. So, but no, you know what, dude? It was cool. It's a nice layout. Ultimately, I'm not bitter. It's fine. I got the item. Yeah. I bought it, or someone sent it to me. Brendan Myers sent it to me, so I was fine with that. So my only fear was, did not talking to Rover, was that going to trigger or mess anything up for me? And I don't believe it does. I don't think it does at any stretch of the imagination, but it just bummed me out that I didn't get to talk to Rover.
You didn't get the briefcase?
I got the briefcase because someone gave it to me. But I didn't get it by actually going and getting it myself. So hopefully that doesn't like dictate anything for me.
It was really cool how there was kind of like puzzle elements because like Roger said, like my girlfriend did it and she didn't get the rocks at the end. But then I went and saw what she did and I kind of fixed it. So it was kind of cool seeing like the possibilities of what islands can be. Because let's face it, like we're kind of getting tired of like the mystery islands. They're all kind of similar. So this was exciting to see. And I was like hoping to get another Mayday ticket and it was that one. So I'm in the middle. I really did like the island that we were, that we went to, but
well, my thing is if this is like the prelude to what the future is, then I'm fine with this. Like,
exactly.
If we're going to get more of this stuff, like this style stuff, then I'm all for it. I'm all in.
Yeah, if it's just like a one and done little event that they're adding in there, I think it's actually pretty cute that they're doing that. Like they're adding in so much stuff with the wedding feature now, with like the wedding season or whatever with Cyrus and Reese. That's going to be really cute. So for me, I'm much more about like small little one-off events than just having one big thing that repeats every single year that's exactly the same.
Pat's all
like
excited.
I do actually like the idea that there might be new events each year. So
Pat's super excited for the wedding event. He's made promises to Nicole to get married in the wedding.
Bobby, easy lad. Do you want to shoot us into the next topic, Bobby? What you got, man?
Wow, I don't even have my notes open. How about that, Pat? You like that? But you know what? We can do this on the fly. We're good. Okay, so the next topic is Pocket Camp. Pocket Camp has exploded, which is a little bit of a reverse of typical. Normally, Nintendo has been putting out mobile games, and the mobile games push sales for the actual games. This is a reverse effect. So many people are getting involved that actually Pocket Camp has scored the most profit ever since the launch of the game. It did $150 million this month. So I was curious, like, what you guys would think about something like that.
Well, I mean, it makes sense though, right? Because it's free.
Yeah.
So it's a free entry. It's a low entry, and then it's kind of like the little microtransactions here or there if you really care about the little cookies or the leaf tickets and stuff like that. I mean, I think it makes sense, right? A lot of people, who are new to Animal Crossing, who didn't even really know Pocket Camp existed, it's one thing to have your Switch and another thing to have it on your phone, and take that with you in places that you can't even have your Switch. Like, the Switch is portable, but you can't have that at your desk or, some people don't want to take it with them to work. I would take it to work with me. I don't care. I'll bring my Switch anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I think it's really, really cool, and the fact that they kind of like go hand in hand. I will say I wish there was a little more integration between the main game and Pocket Camp. I know there are a couple like the exclusive items and whatnot, but I would love it if they had thrown in a little bit more. I still think that there's probably potential for future collaborations. And then I think there's some features that were small and tiny that I liked in Pocket Camp that I wish they would add to New Horizons. Even like something as silly as can't you like tuck and untuck your shirt in Pocket Camp? Like in your clothes?
You might be able to. I actually have no idea. I don't think I ever got that deep into it.
I was just thinking about that. I'm pretty sure you can tuck and untuck your shirt and stuff. Weird. And I loved that about it. But I was like, there's little things that they have in that game that give it its own little cute spin. And though it's not a full original Animal Crossing game, it's still enjoyable, Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I would love to see some of the furniture sets from Pocket Camp come in. Like, I know they had the collab Pokemon set with Pikachu and Eevee was so cute.
Yes.
And I would love to see that somehow integrated into the main game. But I mean, for right now, I played Pocket Camp again. I logged back in for like the first time ever so I could get the items that were in New Horizons. And then that's it. I literally didn't touch it again after that. I played it a little bit during that first year. But I think the rise in people downloading it, one, is probably people who didn't even know Pocket Camp existed, who got New Horizons. And they're like, oh, how'd you get the campsite sign? How'd you get these cute items? Oh, we have to download the game. So they downloaded the game, and then maybe some of them got hooked. Because I'm sure there's like a minute percentage who just like having more Animal Crossing in their lives is good for them. And so they want to spend more money. And then on the other side of things, I think there are maybe some people who don't have a Switch that see all their friends on their timeline talking about Animal Crossing and just somehow want to still be involved in some way in the conversation. And so they've like heavily invested into Pocket Camp, which might be why you're seeing a lot of revenue from it. But really,
I was going to say the same thing. Because like even before the show started, I was like, the amount of people that watch my videos that don't have a Switch, don't have Animal Crossing, and Pocket Camp, like MissClick was saying, it's free. Like, why not download it? And I think it was brilliant with the campsite items. So many people say, like, where'd you get that sign? And like, now they're downloading it. And Pocket Camp, say what you want, but it is addicting. It is very addicting. Yeah. So I can see that.
My only hopes are, as we're seeing things transform for Nintendo, this is obviously a totally different step for them in terms of, the way New Horizons is with the updates and the way they're handling this game. I'm hoping that there is some more transference between the two. Like Roger was saying, like, it would be nice to get some of that furniture stuff over, but it would also be kind of cool because that's where Reese and Cyrus are, if we were able to build stuff in Pocket Camp and then bring it over to New Horizons.
That'd be cool too. I'd love that.
I'd be willing to, I would probably dive further into Pocket Camp if it was something like that. But I'm just looking for anything because like everybody else, I kind of dove in right away, went and got them free items, transferred them over to Horizons, but I haven't really gone back to Pocket Camp since. Yeah. But I'm hoping we get more stuff like that because that was awesome.
Do you think they would do that though? Do you think they would do like New Horizons to Pocket Camp? Like, is there any incentive for them? I mean, they're making a bunch of money, but like,
yeah, right.
should they do the backwards thing where like, yeah, we go into Pocket Camp to get the sign, but do we want people to go into Pocket Camp? That's going to be an interesting thing. I don't know how they would do that.
They probably do want people to go to the Pocket Camp because that's where the microtransactions are. I mean, they want people to spend money and get addicted.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if anything, they might do incentives where certain furniture sets maybe will never actually be added to New Horizons, and the only way to get them is to craft them in Pocket Camp and then send them into New Horizons. Yeah. And that would get a lot of people to buy a lot of Leaf tickets.
Joey Splats is saying that there are exclusive items in Pocket Camp for linking. It's not just one way. So if you link it on the other end, you're getting items on the other side as well.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. And then Bobby, you have the awesome art topic.
Yeah, man, this is kind of cool. This is pretty cool. So last week we talked about it. Pat and I talked about it. The Getty Art Museum basically uploaded like thousands of QR codes to the internet and was just like, hey, if you want this art stuff, come get it. Roger, Pat, you guys know Mr. Josh Thomas.
Of course.
I'm sure he would be excited because now fashion designers Marc Jacobs and Valentino are adding fashion to the game. So what I was curious about was, you hear that, and that's pretty cool, but what are some brands that you would like to see Nintendo work with to maybe pull them in as well? Is there stuff that you would like to see added?
Does it have to be a designer brand?
No, it could be anything in the world you can think of. Like, because it started with a museum, it's moved to fashion designing. Like, what would you like to see added?
I would love to see the Uniqlo stuff go into there.
Literally was just gonna say that. Like, yes, completely, yes.
They're so good. I think that'd be cute too, like an incentive for you to wear it in real life.
Yeah.
But that was the first thing I thought of. It's just crazy how other people are just getting involved with this game. I mean, the time that we're in, obviously we're in a weird time right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it just seems like everyone's just latching onto this game. Nintendo struck gold. They had no idea this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Perfect timing for this game to come out.
No, I know Teddy Fresh very early on, they were like retweeting people who made their clothing items in the game. Because like the first or second day, I had just gone to Disney a couple days prior. This was like in the pre-quarantine world, basically, where everything was still fine. And I went to Disney and I was wearing this one like new SpongeBob Teddy Fresh hoodie thing, and I made it in the game right afterwards, and they immediately retweeted it. And then a bunch of people since have been making their items in the game. So I think I would probably expect more stuff like that, because Nintendo wouldn't want like direct one-to-one integration, I think, with items, unless it was a brand they know they could absolutely trust. Yeah. But I think really the Uniqlo thing is the number one thing I would want. Not just the Nintendo items, though. I would love to see like their other clothing items as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for me, I wouldn't mind seeing like Nike get involved or stuff like that. Like seeing things like that, like different companies doing
I'll tell you why I definitely don't want involved. I don't want Levi's, because that Super Mario collection looks like booty cheeks. That is the ugliest collection of stuff. It's so bad.
Shots fired.
It's so bad.
He's not a Levi's guy.
Stop it.
Why in the world would they make it like that? The designs look awful.
But the problem is how expensive this stuff is. The overalls are like $80, $90.
And it's not subtle at all. No. It's just this like ugly, logo-ridden, it's a mess. Absolute mess. A disgrace to the Nintendo brand.
Now here's a question. Let me throw this at you guys. Because just recently, Nintendo went to Sony and told them to take out Mario stuff in Dreams.
Right.
Like, when does something like that, like, could you imagine something like that happening?
I doubt it, because I think, like, the Animal Crossing custom design integration thing is just, like, free advertising for any of these companies. I mean, you even see sports teams retweeting people who are making, like, the jerseys and all the different merch in the game. They want people to have that. They want people to walk around their virtual villages with, like, Bulls hats on, you know?
Be interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, MissClick? Is there anything you want to see?
Brands, I don't know. But in regards to like Nintendo like pulling down an actual playable mode in like Dreams is a little bit different than a virtual hat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'd be different if it was like a knockoff that you could buy that you could actually wear.
Yeah.
You know, like that I get, but it's not necessarily the same medium.
Gotcha.
You know, kind of comparison.
Yeah.
So I don't think they do that. Like Roger said, it's definitely free advertisement. So they if anything, it kind of builds like that brand to where like, especially let's be honest, like a lot of people our age and older play it, but a lot of younger kids play it. Like they grow up and they see these brands get involved. So like, hey, this is part of a culmination of nostalgia in my childhood. Like, before you know it, like it kind of just cultivates, they want to just naturally be drawn towards these brands.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, regardless how people feel about it, it's good advertising, it's good marketing. And I think that because this game has such a low cap to enter, you don't have to be a hardcore gamer to play. You see all these people literally have all this free time on their hands. So, I mean, it's legitimately, it's the perfect kind of like bring everybody together involvement, you know? And I think it's really, really cool that brands are stepping in with it.
Yeah. And the more I think about it too, there were official branded items in New Leaf because we got the whole 7-Eleven set that was in New Leaf.
That's true.
So it's not like this is the first time they've done this. They could totally still do this again.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the difference with Dreams is that they're kind of moving, what I think anyway, is they're moving to like a marketplace where like these games could someday be for sale.
Yeah.
So Nintendo just wants to squish that while they can.
Yeah,
so
that's smart.
Yep.
All right. And okay, this is interesting. Bobby brought this up. PC Island Designer. What's this? What is this?
So
I've never heard of this.
Apparently, someone created this Island Designer, which you can basically take on the computer and build an island from scratch to kind of get it set up before you actually go build it in game. So you can kind of move stuff around and tinker with it and like put the bridges in and put the terraforming in, so you can actually do it prior to actually doing it in the game. Because how many of us have actually started building something and going like, yeah, this isn't working out?
I hate it.
Yeah, me.
Yeah,
completely.
So like this would actually allow you to jump in and do this and kind of and have it. So
yeah.
Okay.
Pat, you're the design guy. What do you think?
I mean, it's definitely cool. Terraforming takes so long. Like, I can terraform for like 4 hours and be like, I hate this. So
yeah.
But this is just planning. It doesn't actually. You can't transfer it.
No,
to
you
your
can't
game,
transfer
obviously.
it into your game, but it's more like just playing. Like, because remember when before the game launched, people were doing like the kind of maps that were overhead. This is more like 3D. This is actually like you're building the map the way it is, and it's actually like you're seeing the buildings and seeing everything. So you're kind of laying it out.
Animal Crossing Tycoon.
Exactly, to some degree, where you're actually just setting it up and then you bring stuff over.
That I kind of want to spin this a bit. So, Roger, you've been playing Animal Crossing forever.
A lot,
how do you feel? How do you feel about terraforming as a whole? Because I remember conversations with Bobby saying, this could like ruin the game. Like, is a very fine line between how much freedom you should have.
You said it would ruin the game?
There's a fine line.
Bobby.
No. Wait.
Unbelievable.
He's taking my words out of context. What I meant was, in theory, like as you're building and stuff, like you don't know like what levels you could do, what you can't do, and like it could change the game. You know what I mean? Like it's something that our minds aren't wrapped around yet. You know what I mean? So could it change and could it destroy the game? Because could you get yourself into situations where it's just like, this is not for me and I can't do it. Like it changes the game so much from what original Animal Crossing is and was.
I actually think I kind of like it because like the aspect that you guys are talking about, like how it's difficult to put everything together. I know I'm in the minority here, but I actually don't want them to do any quality of life change to terraforming because I feel like there's so many people, like I'm cool with people who time travel completely. Like if you do it, it's fine. Play the game however you want to play. But for me personally, I don't time travel. I don't like to do it. And so when I visit somebody's town and they already have every item now because they time travel to get all the money, it's like, well, okay, this is impressive. But like, where's the work that was put in? And I feel like terraforming is that extra step now. It's for the people who are like really hardcore, who like, we want to show off the work that we actually put into the game. There's no easy way around it. You can't like, jump and make a line of mountains or whatever. You actually have to take the time to do it. So in that aspect, I actually really, really like it the way that it's integrated right now. But what all three of you have brought up earlier is that it is incredibly frustrating when you're building a mountain and you think it's going to be the right thing and you've laid it out to be like 12 squares by 12 or whatever, and then it just so happens that one little aspect of your beach is sticking out just a little bit, you can't adjust it, and then now the whole thing just looks ugly and you don't want to have it anymore. So that aspect of it kind of does stink, and I wish there was something where you could just immediately remove all your progress for like the last hour. That would be a good quality of life change. But in terms of actually building things, like I do like the one-to-one block building. I think that's kind of nice. So
the grid is just weird. The grid in Animal Crossing is just weird.
It's very weird. Yeah. Even when you look at the map, certain things like even it could be a straight line, and certain things, if they're a higher level, it'll make like a squiggly on the map, and it just throws me off.
Yeah.
Real quick, what are some things that we've all been doing with terraforming that you would like to see adjusted or changed? Is there anything that's
Hold this up right now.
That's just like got you a little bewildered? more or less?
I'm literally opening up my island right now to show you what I did with terraforming. So
I think for me, what I think Roger said it before, it's like the beach to land. There's no like clean way to transition it. There's always going to be that little strip of grass. So I wish we could control the beach more, or just add more beach to our land.
Yeah.
Because I want like the natural beach look on my island, and you can't really do that. You can put the sand path, but it's just not the same. So I think that for me, that's that.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, go ahead, MissClick.
Oh, I was gonna say, I know they have the custom patterns and stuff that people have actually like tried to, kind of mitigate that little grass path that kind of like brings a little border, but still it's not a perfect kind of seamless thing.
No.
I think for me, like even with the pathing and stuff, not so much the terraforming, like I think the most annoying thing about terraforming is when you accidentally like you're trying to remove a certain path and it does it in halves. So you have to like skip a block to get a whole block off, and then you got to go back and get that block. Otherwise, you do double the work. Like little things like that. It's a little annoying, but you figure out the workarounds for it. I think for me, the little thing that I like the look of, but I don't like when you think about it, Animal Crossing is a very like kind of ASMR game. It's got the wind, it's got the grass and the sand and the like the water, the puddles. When you place like the custom pathing, it doesn't. It has like a hard plastic sound, so it sounds like you're running on like a McDonald's playmat or something like that. When you're a kid. And so I was saying in the chat the other day, like I would love it. This never would happen, but what would be really cool is if you're making like a custom path that they like you could adjust it like, hey, this is gonna be for like a terraforming path. Yeah, sure. Like is this like a rock base? Is this a wood base? Is this a grass base or water? And then like kind of add that attribute, so when you run over it, it had like a sound to it. That's like my only complaint. I love the terraforming aspect. I think, and it's weird, I'm okay with the terraforming being like block by block. I do wish the crafting you could do like multiple.
Oh, I'm right there with you. Completely
like,
there with you.
Yeah. If you have to hammer for a couple extra seconds, that's fine. But like the doing like the whole like make one thing and then you gotta spam A and then make a whole nother thing. That to me is a little like tedious. But the terraforming, I agree. Like it's rewarding when you're like chopping down, each little block. Yeah. So
I think I'm so glad you brought that up too, because that is going to go into something that we're going to talk about with terraforming in a little bit. So while you guys were talking, I pulled up one little area of my town in which I made Aerith's church from Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you guys could see it. Hopefully, it's clear on the screen. But I basically made it where you have like the flowers and everything. I'll walk in a little bit so you guys could see the way it's set up. But here you go. And the one big thing that was an absolute mess out of this, I don't know if I could turn the camera down from, here we go. Wow, I can't believe I'm doing this backwards. This is great. So the one thing that I absolutely despise is that I can't put something on the top level. So I understand that you can't climb to the top level, but I wish there was a way where almost like you have the map inside your house with the little grid that you could place something on the top level. I think like a perch or something. So like if you are making an actual building in the game, it really would be nice to have that little item up there. However, something MissClick just brought up was, that idea where you have to craft certain items, especially if you're making a ton of them, over and over and over again. Like that is one of the most tedious things in the entire game for sure. And I ran into that problem with another terraforming project that I did, which was the stage in my town. So I have like a little stage venue that goes up from the side.
Nice.
And I had to do every single one of those log chairs, just boom, 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 over and over again. Yeah. That should have taken me like 10 minutes, and the whole thing realistically took me about a half an hour to gather all the wood and go from 30 blocks by 30 blocks because I couldn't put it all in my pockets, to then go back and have to click the button again and then merge them into the log chairs. That is something that I wish there was some easy quality of life thing for.
Me and Bobby call that the fish bait effect. Why can't we make 50 at a time?
Yes.
Yes.
My thing would be like, the only thing that really gets me a little bit is when I'm trying to terraform, I wish they would do like an outline grid to be like where I'm hitting. Nothing frustrates me more is like I'm trying to like do the rivers, because the rivers are hard. Let's be honest. The rivers are very hard to make look good and natural. Compared to like when you fire the game up and the river's already built, they look amazing. And then when I try to do something, it looks so stupid. But I think the best thing that would be is if there was a way to do like an imaginary grid kind of around and outline it. Like, this is the block you're hitting. Or this is the, like, if you hit it again, you're going to fill it in with water. But if you hit it, it's going to actually cut the ground. Because that's the most frustrating, is you're trying to dig it out and you think you got it right, and then you fill it in. And it's like, oh my
That's
God,
the
I gotta go
worst.
back again. And for some reason, I can't get it to look as good as the first time. So that's the only thing that I would love is some type of system that would just tell you, like, this is exactly where you're hitting. Like, this is where you gotta be. So.
And also when you're laying down like paths, like a giant square of like dirt, let's just say, if you put another type of path, it like takes it away. Like there's a big grass border around it.
Yeah. That's the worst thing, right? When you're curving mountains and you have a path that's next to the mountain, and then there's just that little patch of grass that's still there and there's no way to get rid of it. I wish that you could place a path and it just somehow would go underneath where the mountain is.
Yeah.
So then it just looks natural. That would be great. But I don't know. I feel like, again, the thing of everything that we talked about, the thing that I feel they might actually go back and add in is what MissClick was talking about with the paths having like an underlying sound effect. That actually does seem like something that they would end up doing.
I feel like
of all the things we brought up, I do think that's the one. Yeah.
Really, I feel like it's so persnickety that they wouldn't. But I feel like so many people have used these custom paths. I went through and I was like, screw it. Like I was using all the default paths. I was like,
sure.
I want logs. I want, like stones and little clovers that aren't weeds and knock down my star rating, And then the other thing is with those custom paths, if you go to like pick something else up, like say like you're picking fruit or something and they're on top of a custom path, if you're just spamming the pickup button, it'll erase.
Oh my God, that's the worst.
That should only be an option if you're in the terraforming mode. If you're in the construction mode, like I get that, but I was just like picking up. I was picking up turnips yesterday, and I made like a little turnip field with like the little rows and everything. And as I was picking them up, it was like kicking the freaking thing. So I was like, no.
That is frustrating.
Yeah.
Joey brought up something that I'm kind of baffled they didn't come up with. So you can place bridges diagonally. Right. However, there's no way to put diagonal paths to the bridges.
Oh, that's the worst. I hate that too.
That is baffling to me.
You have to do like little squares.
Well, a lot of people do squares and then they round them off, but it still makes like a heart shape in the front of the bridge. And it's like, this is so dumb. Like this
the
is
nicest
so
way I've seen it done is people have been doing diagonal custom patterns with like stepping stones, and that actually does look nice. Because I feel like a lot of the time the custom patterns, especially in things like New Leaf, like in the older games, they did just look like this gross pixely like bottom that you would put on the ground, like just this little block. And now in this game, because of the way that they sort of like blur affect some of the things when they're placed on the ground, it actually does look really nice. And I've seen tons of great stone designs. I wish I knew the name of the Twitter handle off the top of my head, but this one girl just does like custom paths of stone, all different types of stone. She has like hundreds of these little stepping stone patterns, and you can always just pick and choose and go through. I will. I'll link you to it once I find the name of the place. But her stuff is incredible. Yeah, and that's a great way to get around the diagonal bridge issue.
So here's a question that I'm curious about. Like, if you make these up, they don't ever delete them, do they? Like if I take someone's code and I put it in and that person deletes that, that'll technically stay in my game.
As long as you keep it.
As long as I keep it. Because I see people that have like hundreds of them. I'm like, how are they doing this? Because they don't have hundreds of paths. Like they can only have like, 30, 40 patterns you can make, and like.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what you're supposed to do, right? Is that you make all your custom paths and you store them on the like online data bank thing, and then the ones that you actually need in your town at the time, you can go back and re-download,
that's pretty cool.
That's great. So you can experiment as much as you want, but ultimately it just comes down to. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they'll stay there forever, and I'm pretty sure, right? Like if you switch out, like say a specific block is like a stone path. If you wanted, like for example, I don't know, like logs. If you replace that block with the logs, right, it changes all of your rocks to logs, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Because that makes sense. That's really cool, and especially for seasonal stuff. Like I know people will do like clover patches for summer, spring, fall, winter. So like some are covered in snow, some are like slightly brownish. So I think that's really cool. You can just switch them out for the season. But you brought the bridges, which made me think, Pat. We were talking, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. What I wish we could do with like bridges in terraforming is bridges right now can only go over water. But I want to do a thing right now where I want to have my house up. I want to have another layer up, but the river's on the bottom level, right? But then I want to have a bridge go over so I can like walk under the bridge. But you can't do that right now. I would love to walk under. I want that so badly.
A suspension bridge that you could just have going over. Like if you're on the third level, right? And then you're all the way down to the bottom level and you see people walking above you, that would be perfect. I would love that. Yeah. I do wonder why they don't do that. I wonder if it is a thing where it's like programmed weird with the cliffs, where then if you were like maneuvering the cliffs that the whole bridge would fall or something. I'm not really sure. Because that would maybe be a weird way of people getting around destroying their bridges and like having to pay the fee, is if they built them over cliffs and then they just destroy the cliff and then the bridge goes away.
I don't think the game would let you though, technically, right? Like
I don't know.
It won't even let you like.
No, you have to like. I tried to do that at my museum the first time I built it. I had 2 pieces of land and I tried to do the bridge over. I had to literally build a fake river on the top and then put the bridge over and then kind of make it look, like a waterfall and stuff. I guess in theory you could have the bridge there, but then you can't really eliminate the side. I guess you got to trick it. You got to trick the game, and it's weird because you can't hit those blocks if there's water right next to it. So you can't eliminate all that stuff. So it makes it very tricky.
It'll give you a dialogue box and everything.
Mm-hmm. Shout out, by the way, to Sophie Crossing is the name of the Twitter account. I linked to it, and they have lots of really awesome little like stepping stone patterns, floral patterns that are actually custom designs, mushrooms, starfish for your beach. I mean, everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think Nintendo's listening to this right now and they're like, son of a gun, like we give you more pocket space, we give you all this stuff, you can put things outside. I just feel like Animal Crossing is endless. Like there's always going to be little tweaks and stuff. And I'm excited because we've talked about this before, how much they're actually going to update it. Because I think the first year, obviously, with the holidays and stuff, they're going to update those. But it's going to be interesting year 2, year 3, because how active were they with New Leaf?
I know they weren't that active. New Leaf, they did the game. The game was out. They did like Roger said, they did the 7-Eleven stuff, which was Japan exclusive. They did the Best Buy stuff for Street Pass. Where you would go in and they had like maybe 4 months of like DLC content, and that was it. And like they would do like the max. I think the most DLC they ever did for an Animal Crossing game was on City Folk, where they did that ugly looking gold furniture. And they did that for a year. So a year they basically
I liked it.
It was horrible. Stop it.
Technically though, first off, I'm with MissClick. I also like the gold furniture.
You would. I'm not surprised.
The second thing I was going to say though is technically like Welcome Amiibo was kind of an expansion pass, right?
But that came a couple years after, 5 years later.
Exactly. But if they didn't have the capability to do what they're doing now, like I imagine that over the course of the next 2-3 years, we are going to get these little, especially if you're looking at games like Smash Brothers that are still being updated. We're going to get new characters going into next year. Like, man, and that's got to be stuff in there.
And that's what me and Pat have been talking about. Like the team, part of the team is the Splatoon team. And what they have learned over the past few years of Splatoon, they're implementing into this, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think they basically so many Nintendo games now are sort of working more like platforms instead of just like one game. Yeah. Whether it's Splatoon or Animal Crossing or Smash Bros or whatever, it's like instead of having multiple titles where they add new stuff to it or having to sell another expansion pass, now it's just one game you buy and then all this stuff gets added for free. Which like for me is great. That's the best kind of DLC. You don't have to pay for anything. And they just keep updating it because they know that these constant updates can then be marketed and then it just means more sales of the game.
Yes.
It's now no longer like a one and done thing where they just release the game and then they do a marketing push and it's over. It's like we're still getting new sets of stuff.
I'm glad we are in this territory right now because we don't have this plan, but we talked about this last show. I think I'm going to bring this up every single show. DLC for this game. I mean, the sales numbers come out tomorrow so far for this game?
Ooh,
we'll find out.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
You know. Okay, wait. Before you do that, Pat, let's take a bet. Just a friendly wager, whatever. Friendly bet. What do you think? Numbers wise, this game has done in the first.
How long has it been out?
It's been out a little over a month.
A little over a month, yeah.
I'm gonna say 15 million.
I'm gonna say 19.6 million.
Jesus.
I'm going very precise.
Come on, click. Come on.
Dude, I don't know because I could see it hitting up close towards the 20, but at the same time, like. I don't know. Is the reporting just on physical or is it going to be in total?
I think
it's total.
It'll be total.
Yeah. So I'm looking right now at the Nintendo.co.jp, like their finance page that lists all like the millions sold of certain games. And they've already confirmed that Animal Crossing in its first month has outsold Smash. Yeah. So my guess is that with Smash, like with this sales number being at 17.68 million, that Animal Crossing is at least going to be 18 million. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't necessarily – obviously, Smash has sold more copies since this initial number as well, which means we're probably going to get more for Smash. But I also think that MissClick could be right. We could see something in the 20 million range just above Smash Brothers that actually, despite, I think it's because everybody's been home, right? Everybody's been home and downloading games and playing games. You're going to see this massive push for it, and you are getting a much more casual audience for this game than I think a lot of the other hardcore games that have been on the system. But
I want to say 20 million, and the reason why, I'll go 20 and a half. Be different. But
spicy.
the reason why I say that though is this is the number 3 all time selling physical copy game ever for Nintendo on any console. Yeah. So, and I'm in the camp that goes, hey, if quarantine didn't happen, they're doing more than that because half their stores got shut down. GameStop got shut down. Best Buy got shut down. Yeah, can't do Switches. Everyth's messed up right now. So I think if that doesn't happen physically, I believe they could have topped and been the number 1 game. We know that it was number 1 in Japan for many weeks. We know that it was number 1 in Europe for many weeks. Yeah. And you look on the eShop, it's always number 1 on the eShop in the digital side. So I just think that this thing is like gangbuster. So I think easily in my mind. And you have idiots like me that bought like 6 copies of the game. Like, there's morons out there like me that will buy like multiple copies of this thing.
Sure.
Like I have I bought the digital Japanese. I bought this physical. I had bought another physical that I gave to my best friend.
And you got the console.
I got the console as well.
That's right.
Listen, I got 7 Switches here.
That's actually what I want to know too. Is I do want to know what the sales numbers were for those Animal Crossing consoles because I imagine those sold out.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would love to know what the sales are for that, and then I also would love to see what the breakdown is of digital sales versus physical for all the reasons you guys were talking about. Like I do think that's going to be a big talking point during their presentation, either like when is that, late tonight, like 1 a.m. our time or something. I mean, it's like super late, but it'll be out in the morning. Translations and everything will be out for it. And I do think that's going to be like one of the major things, not just for Animal Crossing, but I think across the board, Nintendo is going to talk about how the the global pandemic has affected their digital sales. So
with that said, say the numbers come out tomorrow and it's like 22 million, like some crazy number like that.
Yeah.
Now you're Nintendo and you're left with something to think about. Should we do paid DLC, which is totally like not Animal Crossing at all and not really Nintendo at all. Like for a lot of their games, I'll start with Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Paid DLC.
No, it ain't happening. It ain't happening because I think that they believe
20 million already.
Doesn't matter. They're not going to do paid DLC. I don't see paid DLC. No, because I think that they look at this as a different aspect. They're selling Nintendo Online with this. They're also selling consoles with this. Like, there's a lot of people that can't even get this thing. And I believe they can do other things with introduce Amiibo cards again, introduce Amiibo again. There's other ways for them to make money and make a lot of money. I just don't think that they're really concerned with a DLC package on this. That's just my gut. Because the other thing is
I think I'm going to be on MissClick's side for this one because I could see her face.
But wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Because here's the thing. The main thing I think about with this, with Nintendo, is this. Anytime that they've introduced DLC where there's paid and people don't pay, a la Mario Kart, they cut off half the people. So if I had a Mario Kart DLC pack and you guys didn't, we couldn't race together. And with Animal Crossing and all the trading, what happens? If I have an item, I can't give it to you. And I think that causes a lot of anger. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
Well, it wouldn't even have to necessarily be like, like items that, maybe it won't even let you trade the certain items if that's how you wanted to go about it. You could, I know they do the seasonal events, but they could bring it. Oh my God, I would love it if they brought in like new themes of furniture outside of the holiday ones.
Yes,
I think that would be amazing. I think also they could bring in new forms of islands, like you guys were talking about that. I think if you had different islands that you could travel to, only if you had the DLC, I think it'd be extremely possible. Or new villagers. Like you can only get new villagers if you have DLC.
Yes. That would be good. Here's my big brain prediction right now. Is I think the Nintendo themed villagers from New Leaf are going to be in this game as paid DLC. Please. And I think they're going to time it with upcoming releases. I think we're going to get like an Epona for Breath of the Wild 2. I think we're going to get like, whatever the next Splatoon project's going to be, we'll get like the Squid Sisters or something. But I do think we're going to see that moving into like the next 2 years, honestly. I think that's going to be their one big push. Because, yeah, like you were mentioning with items, they could make it where you can't trade the item. But that opens up like this whole range of possibilities where, okay, if you have 8 people on one system on an island, but then one person's paying for the DLC and the other people on the island can't pick that thing up, that would cause issues. So I don't think it's going to be items. I don't think it's going to be like new islands or anything like that, because completely new layouts for items, what can you do that you can't already terraform or like add rivers to, unless it's different types of mountains, different types of cliffs, different types of things. And that
I meant the mystery ones.
So what if?
Like,
the mystery one. Well, then that would basically break the economy of the game even further, right? Is that if you get like paid DLC items and every mystery island was going to be tarantulas, you know what I mean?
Well, okay,
like everyone would go to their tarantula.
Let's float this idea of DLC.
Okay.
What if Nintendo was to go, if you give us $10, you can actually have a jukebox, and you could pick which hourly music plays at what time from every Animal Crossing game ever.
Oh, that would be great.
Playing OG Animal Crossing.
I mean, obviously we'd buy it. I feel like they could do
3 a.m. Animal Crossing GameCube playing at 3 p.m., dude. Absolutely.
That would actually be cool. I think one of the key things, I mentioned this in the last episode, why don't they just add every single villager digitally on the eShop for 99 cents? And just go, if you want, Eric, for example, still won't come to my town. I'm not going to talk about that. But 99 cents, he'll show up at my camp.
He's talking about an online digital amiibo function is what he's talking about.
You mean versus the cards?
Yes.
Don't the cards make them more money? Or
no, the cards are basically $1 a piece. When you bought a pack, you got 6 cards in a pack, and you paid $6.
But there's like a whole economy on eBay of the cards, though. Yeah. So if you go on eBay, you're going to find somebody with like, who's a popular character that is a card, like Zucker, right? Like I'd imagine like a Zucker amiibo card is probably going for like $50 or something on eBay right now. So even though Nintendo, right, they're making the cards for the same amount and people are buying their little card packs and getting the little villagers, I mean, maybe they could go villager by villager and add it as DLC, but I almost think like that breaks the game even further than like paid DLC items would. Because I think at least with the items, even if you can't trade them to someone, it would still be like one physical thing that you couldn't game the system with. Whereas if you bought a villager, like how would that work then if, say, you make a new island? Then you could just re-download all those villagers. Like you could just delete your island and then from day one have all the villagers that you already purchased as DLC. Like that'd be very weird. And I don't think they're going to do that. I think at least with the amiibos, you have to make it further enough in the game to like unlock it and then drop it into your system. And even then they go to your campsite and then you still have to have a slot open and then they move to your town. So there's a bunch of different processes to it as opposed to just like pressing a button on the eShop and getting it. So.
Or like a $4.99 builders pack where you get like Nintendo, like Bobby said, this Nintendo made path designs. So like instead of brick and stone, it's like things that wouldn't ruin the game. And like, I think items are very difficult to do. Like, I think I mentioned like maybe $9.99 for like 100 item pack, but then it's like trade them and stuff. So maybe like a builder's pack, because like crafting is a giant part of this game and stuff. So
I do wonder, have you guys all unlocked the patterns from Abel yet?
Yes.
Where you can get them, right? She gives them to you.
Where she gives you the pattern sets. I could totally see them doing something like that, where they do like Nintendo-themed patterns that don't actually take up a slot within your custom design thing, much like the pattern things that Abel gives you. And then you could customize all your furniture with like Zelda designs or something.
Listen, Roger, real talk. Real talk, Roger. Where the hell are the Nintendo designs at? Where's the Nintendo hats? Where's the Triforce and the Master Sword?
I really feel like the Nintendo items are going to come along with future game drops. I think we're going to see a Smash Bros. Type situation where, like, you're getting the new spirits with each of the new games that come out. I think it's going to be something similar with Smash, where they're going to do items to promote each new game. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a Breath of the Wild Guardian that you could put out in your village, like with Breath of the Wild 2. Or you get like, where you walk by it and then they play bum bum bada bum bum bada, like that's little things in the checks too.
All right, I gotta get out of this call because now I'm getting excited for stuff that's not even gonna happen.
PTSD
we can say that, but I actually think that's very, very likely.
Right.
I think we're going to get like a lot more stuff like that.
Well, it makes sense though, because it increases the longevity of the game. It keeps it alive and it keeps it fresh. At this point, a lot of developers realize single player experiences are really cool to bring people together, but online multiplayer or online single player, or even just like a sandbox single player game, people enjoy because there's so much replayability. It's not incredibly repetitive because every day can be different. And I think if they have like these small events or these larger DLC, to be honest, I also wouldn't be surprised if they don't even charge DLC prices for these, you know, like if they just release them out, I wouldn't, you know, be surprised by that either. But I will say between like Octo expansion and Fire Emblem DLC, if they do DLC, I do have faith in them to do that because Octo expansion is probably one of my favorite DLCs.
Yeah, I think it was good.
Like of all time, like the bang that you
Yes.
get for your buck and the quality of it is absolutely insane. And when people tell me like, is it even worth it? It's $20. I'm like, dude, honestly, it's worth like 35, 40 in my opinion because there's so much thrown into that. So I think that honestly, whether they do charge it or not, things like this just make sense because they want to keep this game going as long as they can without having to, you know, have people get bored of it really quickly.
Yeah. I am going to make one other prediction, though, in terms of the Nintendo items and when we're going to start getting them. I think the very first Nintendo items are going to drop are going to be all the classic Mario ones. So like the Piranha Plant, Warp Pipe, Star, all the stuff that was like in the original GameCube game.
Yeah,
and I think they're
collection that they're hinting at kind of.
I think on the 35th anniversary of Mario, like September 10th or whatever, they're going to drop the Mario items in the game. Dude, that's my guess. And then I think from there, everything else gets added later on because we know Metroid Prime 4 is coming to Switch. We know Breath of the Wild 2 is coming to Switch. There are your opportunities to throw the Metroid and the Zelda items back in there. At some point, I feel like we're probably going to get a Splatoon mobile game. When that ends up coming out, boom, you get the Splatoon items in there. Like, there's opportunities for them, for each of these franchises, for them to put them in there, especially with like with Pokemon items even too. They're going to have Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion passes. Even like maybe even new Smash characters. They could add in like Smash Balls or something like that into the game. The possibilities are endless, but I think it is a marketing opportunity for them, and I don't think they're going to pass it up.
Yeah.
Now, Bobby, what would the community reaction be to paid DLC for this game?
Man, it depends on what it is. I think it's like any DLC. Honestly, it's like any DLC. I think
everybody's going to complain about something.
Yeah, but I think it's a situation where it's like what we're talking about, where it's you're upgrading. They're giving you new paths or the music, things like that. I think people will be okay with it. I think if it's a situation where people feel like, hey, this should have been included in the game, like the Nintendo items, because they were always in the past games, I think that's where Nintendo's going to get up against the wall, where people will be like, wait a minute, why are we paying for this stuff? It should have been there. It was in these other games for free. That's where I think the controversy comes up. But I think that as long as they handle it properly, there's no... And that's the thing, let's be honest. Nintendo, I feel, other than Smash is probably the most egregious DLC there is, just because you're buying individual items across the board. But like when you looked at
Mario... Wait. I'm not letting you just like slide... No. I'm not letting that slide by.
Go ahead.
The amount that you get with each character in Smash Bros, with all the different music tracks and the stages and the DLC spirits. I mean, you definitely get your bang for your buck.
No, what I'm saying is they
individually we get like characters in PS4 games. Yeah. No, I know, but I'm saying like when you're getting different character packs in PS4 or like any of these other games, and it's $20 for like one character, bro. I'm paying $6 for all these music tracks. I'm not letting you get away with it.
No, wait, listen to me.
You're not a Tekken player. Listen to me. You're not about this life. I'm about this life.
I know you are. That's the problem. You're all about Smash. My thing is when you look at the big picture, when you look at like what they did for Mario Kart was $11, and you got 2 gigantic circuits on Mario Kart 8. That's what I'm talking about. When you look at like bang for the buck and what you're getting overall.
Sure.
Usually they're very good with the pricing on things. Sometimes it gets a little out of line, like Smash. Sometimes it gets a little pricey. Like when you look at the overall, it was like what, $180 for all the DLC for Smash on
It's not $180.
$180.
In what world are you
on the Wii U? On the Wii U.
Well, the Wii U, they needed as much money as they could get.
I know that, but I'm just saying, ultimately, on the Wii U, it was a high dollar value compared to other DLC packages. I think with this, they'll do it right. Whatever they do will be proper. I don't think that they will gouge. Main reason being is they have never charged for DLC in the past, and I stick to that. And I don't feel that they're gonna charge people unless it's things like I feel like quality of life things they're gonna do for free. They're not gonna charge you for that stuff.
I agree.
But we'll see how things go.
I mean, I feel like this is like you look at a game. Hopefully, Roger doesn't kill me on this one. Pokken, and then like Pokken, Breath of the Wild, and like now Animal Crossing. I feel like the community is going to take this a lot better because what are you actually getting with $60 with Animal Crossing? You're getting 400, 500, 1,000 hours of.
So, right.
You know, a $20 DLC doesn't really bug me. Like with Breath of the Wild, when they came out with the extra DLC, there were some people that were complaining, but for me, it was like, okay, like I'll gladly take.
Yeah.
Same with
Pokken, on the other hand,
thing. Yeah.
Pokken was like 2 characters for like $15, I think it was.
Thank you, bro. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's why comparing that to the Smash situation is like mind blowing to me, because you did not get your bang for your buck with Pokken in the slightest. I like Pokken. I'm a fan of that game, but the DLC was not really worth it, especially when you compare it to something like Octo Expansion or Smash Bros. Bobby. Yeah. Even with Smash, right? You get like the designer getting the Sans outfit with the music, and it's like 99 cents. 99 cents. It's a pack of gum at the grocery store, and you get Sans in your Smash Bros. Game. I'm not hearing it.
I understand you are a huge mark for Smash. I get that. I understand. Deep breath.
I am with Animal Crossing too, though. I totally am.
You know what though? Pat loves this stuff though. Pat loves this stuff.
I love it.
I'm sure he does. He's getting them views. That's good. But the thing with Bobby and I, right, is that he'll do that. See, he's like, oh, take a breath. I'm in it to win it, old man.
Really? I'm able to we're going to go there. All right.
Ooh.
All right.
I'm back here like saying amen, but Roger's too loud so you can't hear me.
Wow. All right.
No, I love that. He knows that. He knows full well.
I know.
If you guys want to ask us any Animal Crossing questions, design questions, we got 3 good people here. 4 if you include me, you know. Okay, here we go. Smeezo says, should there be any other shops brought to Animal Crossing? There is a heavy rumor, spoiler alert, Brewster. So they're actually talking about museum, integrating him with the museum. So I will start with MissClick. Should we have more shops?
Oh, I say the more the merrier.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that. I would, I don't know, like if they had like more of like a home interior focus. I know like we used to, like I miss the city from like the City Folk because I haven't played the handheld. So like I played GameCube and City Folk. I liked the aspect of being able to like go somewhere else other than like a mystery island and get to see. I would like to see like a Gracie Grace kind of store, you know, with like really nice furniture and really nice clothing. You feel bougie, you know, like that'd be really, really cool. Or like I would like if Kick had his own store. Kicks?
Yes.
I would love if he had his own store. Like, boo, he deserves it because he's always been, you know, just like, oh, I might like sitting on the stairs, you know, like, camera shoe shine, you know, like, I would love if he had his own store because every time he's out in front of my town hall, I'm like, yo, let me buy everything because I want to support you. I would love that. And then I would also love, what was the other thing? Like the Happy Home Academy, like you had like the little challenges, you can do a pocket camp, but then you also had the things that you could do in City Folk. I would like things like that too, like little interior design stuff.
Yeah, I think in terms of, you know, because you were talking about the museum cafe, right? With Brewster, I do wonder if that's going to be a separate thing or if they're going to build out the museum. Because wasn't there another rumor about like museum shops or something too? Because if that's
gift shop,
gift shop.
But would it be in the museum or is it like an additional thing that you would build out?
It seems like the museum's a big focus this time around. So I
huge
feel like they're just going to make it as grand as possible.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, in terms of like extra areas, I would love to see them bring back the club from New Leaf with KK,
Club LOL.
Especially because he comes back so frequently. Like, Club LOL would be really cool.
He deserves a stage. Come on,
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
He's got to get out of the front of the town hall. It bothers me that he sits there because he also gets replaced whenever there's a fishing tournament. Like if there's something happening on Saturday, they kick him to Friday, and that's not okay. Like I would rather have him than the fishing tournament, just because I'm used to him being Saturday nights, like being there.
See, I want them to add as many shops as possible because I've been to like these awesome 5-star islands that are complete. And then it's like you get 3 more shops and it's like, okay.
You got to find a place to put everything now. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a gardening center would be really cute too for Leaf. So that you actually could have, so you could sell bushes and all that kind of stuff all year long. Because right now, I think he's going to still be here until July or something? He'll be able to like be cycling through your town. So I do feel like at some point after that ends, they might have some general location where he lives. And it could be Nook's Cranny, right? Because he did sell stuff out of Nook's Cranny in New Leaf as well, didn't he?
Yes.
And so maybe it'll be an addition like that. Or he had his own. But now it's all Nook's Cranny, right? Even with the upgrade, it's Nook's Cranny in this game now.
In this game, it's Nook's Cranny's the upgrade, which used to be like Nook and Go or something when they got the first upgrade. But in New Leaf, he was on the side. He had his own store between the Ables, but when Nookingtons came in, they ate him up, and he kind of had like a little cubbyhole in there. Yeah.
No, I want like that little greenhouse. Like you can go into.
That's what I want too. Totally.
So
little greenhouse thing for him.
Well, because the thing is he does talk about Timmy and Tommy when he first shows up.
Yeah.
as being their friend. So it's obvious that there's still some connection there.
And as for Gracie Grace, I feel like we're probably going to get at some point an expansion for the Able sisters with a label.
Yeah.
I think at some point she will come in because she already is like selling stuff and you do little challenges and things. So
And if you notice, the other things about that is, one thing is when you talk to the sisters, Sable's always talking about Label. And the other thing is when Label comes to town, the next day, all those Label items are actually in the store to buy.
Right.
So there's got to be something there to be like, this is what we're going to do, is expand the store. For me, I think I think the only store that really could get added, other than like a Kix or something like that, is the Roost. But I feel like they're going to basically move the Roost into the museum. Like, I think that's a huge focal point this time. I think that Celeste winds up going to the museum.
I think so too.
With the planetarium, yeah,
with the planetarium, and then I think that and then I think at some point I think Brewster shows up. Which I think when Brewster shows up, that's when we start getting gyroids again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Haley H asks, when do you think they'll add? Do you think they'll add the rumored vegetables, and do you think they'll add back the missing fruits from New Leaf? So me and Bobby talked about like, harvest. Like we think personally there's gonna be like a harvest event where they add more fruits and more, but growing crops and stuff besides the red turnips is kind of like new territory for Animal Crossing. So, Roger, how would you feel about that?
I mean, I'm a Harvest Moon fan, so the more farm stuff, the better. I mean, like, we haven't had a good Harvest Moon game in years, so if Animal Crossing basically becomes Harvest Moon, I'm cool with that. Like, if we have, potatoes or wheat or whatever else thing you would grow, I think that would be really cool. I already have a little farm in my town, so Kurlos's backyard has little lines of, like, dirt where I put turnips and all the hybrid flowers, and so building that out would be super easy for me, and I would love to see it.
What about you, MissClick?
I mean, I was gonna say I would love if it was like little carrots or like corn or something that you could grow them. That'd be really, really cute. I personally would like that. I think like if you could do like, I don't know if they had it in the handhelds. Did they continue in New Leaf? Did they do like the garage sale, like Saturdays or whatever? Do you remember in City Folk?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about those. Yeah.
Like I would always remember like. I guess now it's a little bit easier being online, but when villagers had something that you really liked, like when it came to that day, you could see if you could buy it from them and they'll be like, oh, sorry, I'm not buying, or I'm selling. And you're like, yes. And you got the item, and that was really, really cool. I don't know. I liked that aspect about it. I also miss the, I know they do it all the time, literally now in this game, but I miss being able to do like yoga and aerobics with them, like in the
you mentioned that. I don't know why that reminded me of all the old things. A police station's probably something we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Booker and Copper will almost definitely show up at some point. Yeah.
Yep.
I like how they're treating like the older Animal Crossing characters. It's like it's something for the old fans, but it's an expansion for the new fans. So I love what they're doing.
Yeah.
One other thing though, we're talking about the seasonal fruit.
Yes.
Well, I guess you didn't. I just spoiled my point that I was going to make. I think bananas and durians and all the kind of stuff that already got cut.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be added during the summer months. I think they're going to say now when you go to the Mystery Islands during the summer, new fruits will spawn at the Mystery Island, and I think that's where you get like bananas and things like that then you could plant. And once you have them, they'll be there all year round.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Cool.
That's my guess.
Leo with the 5. Thank you very much. If you could add whatever you wanted to the game, what would it be? One thing only. Start with Bobby.
Oh, man. If I could add one thing only. Holy crap, that's a tough question, man.
It's a loaded question.
I mean, honestly, the one thing that I would add, we talked about already, is I would want Nintendo to create paths for me. Meaning, not stuff that I can kick up and do stuff. Like, give me more options to the paths. Where, like we have the bricks, give me gray brick instead of just red brick, or give me other options to that. Because like MissClick was saying, like you run over the paths and it makes that clicky sound to it. And then you put patterns over. Like I edged all my bricks with like a border, like a terracotta border. And it takes away the click sound all of a sudden because I run over it and it's the path sound now. And so I would love for them to do that. Like I would love more options of paths.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Roger, what about you? One thing.
Coming to me. To me, we already have the Nintendo Switch Online, virtual console thing with NES and Super Nintendo. So I don't really think Yeah, so I don't really think we would get like Nintendo or Super Nintendo items in the game. But one thing I think would be really cool, especially because there is no virtual console on the Switch, is like a minor thing I think they could add to the game are Game Boy games. I think especially because the Switch is handheld, where basically you can buy little Game Boys, and then each of the old classic Game Boys has like Tetris on it or Pokemon or something. Maybe not Pokemon and Tetris, but like Mario Land or whatever, 6 golden coins, Wario Land, something like that, where maybe they have 10 different items and they're released over the course of the anniversary of the Game Boy or something. And you can play all those little games. Because I loved that aspect of the original GameCube game, having those NES titles.
I love that.
And, now obviously you've got the Switch Online thing now, so you don't really need that anymore. Especially because I'm assuming if you have Animal Crossing, you're probably paying for online because you want to play with all your friends. It's such a social part, is like such a big aspect of it. But I think some type of little additional playable mini games or something like that would be really great.
That would be good.
Okay. MissClick, one thing.
So I'm gonna say one thing that on top of like all the other things they're probably gonna add in, right? Okay, so that's that. Okay, they're still adding things. So I'm trying to think realistically here, and just the mass crafting, mass buying clothes. I'm tired of like going in and out of that little stall.
Oh, that's
yes.
And also, like to do with the mass, more than 2 letters a day to send to friends.
Yes.
Like
yes, I would love that.
That's all.
I didn't even know there was a limit.
Yeah, you got 2 letters.
I gotta send more.
Yeah.
I would agree with you about the mass crafting thing.
Yes,
like crafting is the new thing about this game. So it's like, and these are like smaller updates I feel like they could do, but like the bait situation we always talk about. But yeah, crafting I think needs to be more streamlined. We have another question from Victoria. Would you like to be able to terraform when people are on your island?
Yes.
Can we do anything? Can we do anything with people on the island? Like, could I drop items? Can I go? Can I go talk to Brewster? Like anything.
You can't even like assess fossils. There, in my opinion, there needs to be like a 3-tier kind of thing, like a friend, a best friend, like a best friend kind of thing. Like, if you want to make people best friends,
best friend.
Like you can edit things, they can edit things, like you can get things done at times. Like I know people were talking about when their friends started playing, they would come over as soon as they could and then help them pluck weeds. So they just told them like, hey, just save the weed plucking, like do all this other stuff, and then when you can have visitors, I'll come help you pluck weeds. And they did it in like half the time. That's easy, but like what if you could like help people terraform and stuff like that?
Yeah.
But
that'd be
make
great.
them like a 3rd tier, you know what I mean? So it's not just like no friend or best friend, you know what I mean?
Do you think it would cause like performance issues or something? Is there like does your island need to save or something?
Well, I think because it does save before you go into terraforming, even if you're playing by yourself. So I do wonder if there's something where it's a second layer of you're online. Say it glitches out for like a brief second. You're in the middle of building a mountain, and then all of a sudden, because the like the communication line was broken at some point, you now have like a cliff that's just floating above other cliffs because you've already since that time demolished these 2 cliffs. And I think that could cause like huge issues with the glitching of the game, even dating back to like the first week where people were doing that duplication glitch where like they had the switch and then they turned the thing around and then they would duplicate it again. There are still issues with that where people who did that have their switches just like floating, or whatever item they were duplicating just floating, because now with that last update, they don't have another item there. And the only way to get rid of that floating item is to build something on top of it. So I do wonder, if that maybe has something to do with it.
Yeah, very possible.
Okay. And then Dingo asks, Nook's Cranny has a hidden staircase in the back blocked off. Do you think that something would happen there? So basically another upgrade. This is actually another rumor that's coming to the game. Another upgrade for Nook's Cranny. Bobby, what do you think, man?
I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily going to do anything for it, because I don't think that, like, you look what Nook's Cranny did. It went from the small store to a bigger store. I don't think they're adding on to the stores. I think they're just creating new renovations.
Yeah.
Whenever Nookingtons comes, that's a 3-tier store. That's totally different. I think they're going to probably, in my estimation, I think they would do 2 more updates. They would do one more.
I think so,
that would be kind of like the Nook and Go type thing, and then they would go Nookingtons. But I don't think they have anything to do with this store here. I think it's just coincidence. And it just
they could do. We were talking about the Leaf thing earlier. They could do the bottom floor that you already kind of see visible that's closed off.
Yeah.
That could be Leaf's gardening center,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think the second floor could be a callback to like whichever one it was, City Folk or New Leaf, where you had Gracie on the top floor selling the designer items.
Yeah.
And I think that's when all of those designer items finally get added into the game. Is when Gracie actually becomes a part of the store.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Tibbles, basically their question is about island expansion. They have to add an island expansion if they keep adding new shops and buildings, right? I don't think they do. I think what you have is what you have. And I think they should keep it that way. It kind of like keeps you on your toes a bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Roger, what do you think about island expansion?
I completely agree. Yeah, I think I want to keep people on their toes. Just like you said, you know, they're going to add all these new things, and people have built and terraformed all these mountains and stuff, very particularly, or redone like the map of Link to the Past. Now they're going to add 2 more shops and they have to redo the whole thing. I actually think that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So I'm down for that. Yeah.
I mean, that's the
Bobby?
thing. That's the thing that when I look at this, I go, let's be honest. Every single person that was playing up to that point, their towns were set. They were where they wanted to be, and they were like, okay, I'm on a collision course to endgame. And then they come out with Leaf, and everybody's like, holy crap, I got to tear my whole place apart because I got to start adding shrubs and moving stuff and doing all this and that. And I think that's the same thing. Like, every time you think you have an idea of where your town's going to be, they're going to cram one more thing in to make you go, wait a minute, now I have to move all this to fit this here and adjust it. So, I don't see them doing island expansions. I really don't see them ever doing island expansions. To me, it almost just makes it a little bit too easy. And I think Nintendo's more along the lines of like, hey, work within your means. We give you this is what you have, try to make it work for you.
And it's a pretty big island.
Yeah.
Like with terraforming and stuff, if you terraform it the right way, it's giant.
Yeah.
Well, what they could do if they're going to expand anything is they could expand the pier, right? Is you have that extra pier and there's already fish and things off of there. Yeah, because we don't have the swimming or diving or anything that was in New Leaf yet. And I could see them adding like an aquatic store off of the pier and then expanding that where maybe it's like a wood path or something that you could put little furniture items there and make like cafes or an amusement park or something. But that's really like the only part of the island I could see them building.
Yeah.
And then Lilibet says, do you think they will add multiplayer mini games? So I would love a multiplayer update. I mean, we were just saying like terraforming, like imagine terraforming with your friends. I don't know how well that would work because of like all the connection issues, but multiplayer update, MissClick, what do you think about that?
Oh my God, I would love it. We had said like a couple months ago, like if it would be cool, like we doubt that they would, but if you had Nintendo Switch Online, like you could acquire the NES consoles, you know, for your house. If you had that subscription, like you would earn that. But I think it'd be cool if they added in some multiplayer aspects. If you had the online subscription, obviously, because you're playing with your friends. If you're playing multiplayer, I mean, you could be playing locally, I guess, but I feel like I don't know. That's getting into something. But I think the multiplayer games, yes. I also think with the multiplayer aspect, like having people over, I would love it. I don't think they can, but if they could somehow rework it to where we don't have to sit and wait for people to land onto your island.
Yes, please.
Like, especially if you're like streaming, you know, you have like the max 8 people here. So you're sitting and waiting people to come. And then if someone like leaves, you know, then it's like you have to like wait for them to load to leave. You can mass kick them, which is great. I love it. One of my favorite buttons in the game. But like waiting for everybody to get there, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty annoying too. But again, it comes down to connection. So like if even people like getting there is like a tough thing for them to work out, I don't know if they would be able to do the multiplayer games per se.
I want to give a shout out to the community, because the community, when you say to us like, we're not going to give you games, we're not going to give you a soccer ball you can really kick around, we're going to give you goals and a soccer ball that sits in place, we're not going to give
just
you
bounce.
anything. Yeah, just bounce up and down. I've seen musical chairs, I've seen sumo wrestling, I've seen Deal or No Deal, all being done.
Deal or No Deal with the briefcase.
Yes, but what they do is they actually what they do is they wrap up a bunch of packages and they drop them on a grid, and then people actually and they make it like a game show thing.
I love that.
And I just look at this and I go, this is fantastic to see the community go, we don't have anything, we're going to create our own stuff. But for me, man, that's the one thing I loved about Tortimer's Island, was the fact that you could go with friends and just play these different mini games, whether it be catching as many sharks as you can in a certain limit or whatever it might be. And I would love to see them bring something like that back, even if it's like, hey, we're going to give you these islands to go do stuff. You know, I don't know, but I would love to have something.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Okay, the question came back. Lauren says, I feel like we could spend a lot of time on this. Do you enjoy this edition better than the other? So basically, is this your favorite Animal Crossing game? Now, here's the thing, because it's all the hype right now. It's like brand new. This is like fresh in our minds. I honestly have to say yes. And I will say this, shocking, because I'm doing like all Animal Crossing stuff. I've never really been like so invested in Animal Crossing before, because I feel like I ran out of things to do. Like I feel like just being able to put things outside is such a big thing. Yeah. Paths is such a big thing, where I just never really got the hype of it. But this game with the crafting, you know, the decorating and stuff, it just brings it like full circle. Like if this is your first Animal Crossing game, like you are lucky. You are so lucky.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You added in so much things. So I will go to Bobby first. You played them all.
That's tough, man, because if I think about it in the times of that time of playing, New Leaf ranks really, really high for me, because at that moment it was so different than anything. And that New Leaf was the only game other than Mario 3D Land that I would click on 3D to like play in 3D for a long period of time, because it just added depth to it. It just made it really cool. But man, this game just does something. Like I literally have almost 250 hours in, and I'm still like I'm working full time. So it's not like I'm just, you know, I'm not like it's a quarantine situation where I'm getting all this time in. But for me, like I look at New Leaf and I put 600 hours into that, and I'm almost, you know, halfway to my time of 2 years of playing New Leaf. So that alone tells me like I'm coming back every single day and playing. Like I'm playing nothing else at all, 0 games at all. And so for me, I would have to say like they've done so much to this, just like you said, the decorating outside, and they've added all these little quirky things. Like every game just gets better and better and better.
Yes. Yes.
Roger?
Oh, I was hoping you were gonna choose me last. Here's what I'm gonna say. I think
yours is Amiibo Festival, right?
Oh, I hate Amiibo Festival. Oh my God! Don't ever bring that up. I'm never coming on the show again. I have loved Animal Crossing since the very first entry. I've played every single entry in the series, including Amiibo Festival. I love the series, and I think my top 3, in no particular order, before I make my point, is Animal Crossing for GameCube, New Leaf for 3DS, and now New Horizons. And New Leaf, I think more than any other video game I've ever played, I put, I think, 1,500 hours in total of New Leaf. I mean, I spent every day for 2 years literally playing that game, building out things, making pads. And within the first, like, I'm 180 hours into this one now. Within this first 180 hours, I can already tell you, like, without a doubt, New Horizons is my favorite. I think, just like you guys mentioned earlier, the furniture outside thing is such a huge deal and something I've wanted since the first game. And I just really love that Nintendo and all these companies are doing this now, where they're adding new content, like later on, where it's not just in the game right away. It's like locking it out. So no matter if you do time jump or whatever, like it's just not going to be there for you. So I really do like the fact that like little by little, it's breathing new life into this game. And then, you know, 3-4 years from now, by the point when all the stuff is finally added to the game, right, and you're on the full year cycle, but all the new little additions have been in there, I think it's going to be the most complete Animal Crossing game we've ever had. And I kind of feel like already, despite the stuff that's missing from it, I think it is the most complete Animal Crossing game we've ever had. So yeah, I adore it, and I think it's without a doubt my favorite.
MissClick?
I mean, Roger said they're all there is to say. And I think it does have to do with the fact that, you know, some people are really going to associate it, I guess, to the first Animal Crossing that they've played, you know, whether this is their first or this is their, you know, third or fourth, if you want to consider Amiibo. Okay, anyways.
Watch it.
I don't know. I just genuinely think because they each get better and better objectively, I will say that this is the best one. But it's obviously going to vary depending on if you feel like your nostalgia and the memories that you had with the time that you were in when you first played those. I just think it's cool at this point that, you know, people can say that Animal Crossing has been one of those franchises, you know, much like with like Zelda and stuff, like they don't come out every single year. These are ones that kind of come out in chapters, and life changes. Like this life has changed so much in the first, like, oh my God, we're 5 months in, and this has literally felt like the longest year, like, ever. Mm-hmm. Like, life changes so fast, and so I think it's cool that Animal Crossing can just, like, kind of mark and milestone different parts in people's lives, and you know, like, who's to say, like, even if they don't fix all of these quality of life things in this game, that's not to say that the next game, if we ever get one, you know, years down the road from now, those quality of life changes have been applied, and then there's like much more thrown in, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. I do. You bring up a good point too with the quarantine and people playing every day and stuff too, and nostalgia and how that plays a factor into the games. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be near impossible for Nintendo going forward to make an Animal Crossing game that's going to top this, because there's going to be so much nostalgia for this being like the one good thing in many people's lives going on right now that's literally keeping them sane, and like having this own little virtual world and spending so much time in it. I think the nostalgia for this game is going to be not just this game, but like Final Fantasy VII Remake and a lot of stuff that's come out recently. There's going to be so much nostalgia for these moving into like the next decade, right? That I think all these other games are going to have a very hard time competing when looking back at the stuff that came out now. So I think it's got that aspect of it too.
Definitely. I mean, other than, to me, in my opinion, other than Wild World to City Folk, every game has always been huge leaps above the one previous. Yeah. And I think that, like, this game is so massively huge in a leap because they took so much time. I think if this game launches on the Wii U, it's a totally different game. It's probably not anything anybody's happy with. And I think that this is just the perfect situation. The biggest thing for me that I felt would have taken it to the next level was the fact that, and it's weird because we're not able to do this essentially, but the fact that I could take it on the go. I remember I would actually work vacations around Animal Crossing. Like, okay, we're going away. I literally have to get my Jacob's Ladders, all my hybrids crammed in my house because they're going to die if I don't. And literally would have my house packed with flowers all over the place so that way when I left and went away, my flowers wouldn't be dead when I came back. And it was nuts because these are the things that I would actually do. And I'm sitting here going now, like, I wouldn't have to worry about that with this game because I could literally play it at home on my TV and then, by the way, take it when I go away and have it. So and that's the thing too, like when I think about each game has a bit of nostalgia across the board. And like you guys are talking about nostalgia, this is going to be huge on people. It being the first one, like everyone has a little bit, like, like I loved going to Disney World with my 3DS and street passing. Like that was fantastic. And actually getting all the houses turning up in my town. Like it was amazing. And you could go in there, it was like a QVC or a home shopping network. You go up there, you start buying stuff out of people's houses. It was amazing. So
it's so funny because like a month after I started playing Breath of the Wild, I was like, this is my favorite Zelda. And that was so controversial at the time. Everyone was like, no way. MissClick over here, I don't know, Skyward Sword, she loves that, but like...
What is that your favorite Zelda? Mm-hmm. Skyward's your favorite? Wow, interesting. That is bold. A hot take. Cool. That is bold. Like... I respect it, though. That is a respectable choice.
What can I say? I'm just a coordinated person.
But it's so weird that now we could say a month later that this game is our favorite Animal Crossing game. I mean, for me, City Folk has always been my like go-to just for nostalgia.
Yeah.
But and
then console.
I do wonder, brought that point up about like how, Breath of the Wild is like the best Zelda game. And then you've got like this with Animal Crossing New Horizons being the best Animal Crossing game. It really does feel like this generation, there were a lot of people early on who were like, why is Nintendo not making more games? Like if they've consolidated their 3DS and their Wii lineup, like why are they not making more? And I think it is because they've really focused in on these massive titles, whether it's Animal Crossing, Mario Odyssey, Zelda, whatever, to literally make them the best they can possibly be and flesh them out so that you're not just spending like the main campaign of these games, like 20 hours with them. You're spending like 100 hours with these games. Yeah. And that's been the situation with so much stuff on Switch, like more so than any other Nintendo console. The fact I have 150 hours in ARMS, bro. In ARMS. Like that's unheard of.
I love ARMS.
And then you go, me too, obviously, but like you go but you look at things like Xenoblade, Breath of the Wild, Animal Crossing, even Pokemon with Sword and Shield and the raids and everything. It's like they built out a lot of these titles, and some of them are controversial for it, but I feel like because they've put so much work into them and they're adding more, so many things to them, it feels like these games have so much longer of a life than literally anything else that they've released in any of those franchises, where even if it's not your favorite, it's almost unequivocally one of your favorites in the whole series.
I mean, look, they did it with Mario Maker. They keep going back to the well and bringing stuff back. They did it with Zelda. Like, they brought back these different things. It was driving droves of people back to these games. So it's definitely the model. I mean, this was basically talked about. Furukawa had talked about this. Like, this is going to be the trend that we're going to do moving forward because we see there's a want and a need for this. I just think they do it so much better than anybody else. And they get it. They understand what the fans want. And they do the one thing that, this is what made me a Nintendo fan as a kid, was the fact that they would give you things you wanted when you didn't even know you wanted them. Like, you're sitting there going like, no, I want this, I want this, I want this. And they're like, no, play this. Other than Star Fox Zero, they nail it 90% of the time.
Watch it, watch it, Bobby. Watch it, Bobby. Watch it.
Wait, hold on. Are you a Star Fox Zero fan?
Yes, he is.
I love Star Fox Zero. All right, so now we're down to MissClick. All right, perfect.
Listen, I knew that was going to come. That's why I threw that out there.
I'm just waiting for Star Fox's Assault sequel, kind of like quality. Yo, he's throwing Cappy.
I'm not going to say my next hot take about Star Fox Zero.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
Hi, Roger. We just met. I will say this, though. You guys remember when Animal Crossing was delayed? Dude, that was like, I was so happy about that.
We knew it was going to be delayed.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of people that hoped it would be the big holiday game, but for me, I thought it was a no-brainer. That was going to be the thing pushed to spring. Just because it feels like a spring game, too, right? With the flowers and everything.
Absolutely. But
it seems like the kind of game.
But the thing of it is, we didn't know they were going to do the hemispheres either. Like, that was a curveball that nobody saw coming.
That's true.
But the thing is
terraforming as well.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. But it's funny because I remember when they delayed it at E3, and I was like, all right, I'm a little disappointed by the delay, but okay, fine, whatever. I get it. I'm okay with that because I would rather have it in spring than in fall going into the wintertime. And now it looks like it was the smartest play ever. Like, now they look like they're rocket scientists because they put it out, and the thing is, like, they put out literally a week before the country gets shut down. And it's like, it's nuts, man.
That's a big thing, not to get too off topic, but I do feel like that's a big thing going into this year where a lot of people are wondering, where are the Nintendo Directs? What are the big Nintendo games going to be?
Yeah.
I mean, moving into this holiday, right? If those Mario remaster rumors are true, and we're actually getting remasters of 3 of the most beloved Mario games of all time, and that's it's going to sell hot, especially because you guys got to remember they have not done a price drop for the Switch yet. Not once.
No.
If they decide when PS5 and the new Xbox come out and they're like $500 consoles and you've got grandma at the store, we're all finally out of quarantine and she's getting something for a little Timmy for Christmas and the Switch is $50 less and comes bundled with like Mario remasters or Animal Crossing or something, it's done. It's over. Which is unheard of for a year where there's new consoles. This has never happened before. We're in like complete unprecedented territory. Yeah. So it's wild. It really does feel like they made the smartest decision on the planet.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like a lot of people are talking like, well, why aren't they talking? Why aren't they doing anything? And I think games industry as a whole is just so up in the air. They don't know what they're doing. Everything is totally different than they did. We normally had huge conventions where they would release and announce stuff, and it's pushed everything back. And I think the latest thing is the whole E3 or June Direct is maybe getting pushed back. They haven't officially said anything yet, but like, of course it is. Like, of course they don't even know what their future holds. They don't even know what how they're making games. It's a whole transition. So, and I feel like they're dumping all their eggs in the Animal Crossing basket and just being like, this is our game for the foreseeable future, and it's working.
It's a smart play.
Yeah,
it's a smart play.
Yeah.
Bito Nojo, I think it is. Do you think there's room for more personal islands like Harvey's? I think that would be an opportunity for other shops and content to come. So
I'd like that.
Is that how they're going to add DLC? Because Harvey's Island, I'm not a big fan of. I think it's kind of weird. But like, could they add other islands, or do you think people are going to come to our islands from that?
I would like Captain's Island to come back. I think that'd be kind of cute. Maybe that's how they introduce the seasonal fruit. Instead of having it where they just drop it in summer, you actually go to Captain's and he's got completely new fruit and like new cabana furniture items and all this other new stuff. That'd be neat.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Bobby?
Sorry, I got a little sidetracked by By Mackenzie. She said baskets. I'm still triggered by Bunny Day. So, listen, I'm not a fan at all of Harv's Island. I went there one time, walked around. I was like, this is not for me. Like, yeah. I'm sure if I was really, really heavily into the picture taking. But that's the one thing that when I saw it, I thought, man, people are going to lose their minds with taking pictures. And I haven't noticed people taking advantage of it yet. In the towns are taking advantage of it, and they're taking pictures. Like, I do it all the time. But, like, I just don't see people utilizing it at Harv's Island. And I think a lot of it has to do with, I don't think a lot of people have the amiibo cards, and that's a bit of a problem.
That's
yeah.
Right.
So it's...
did you see their recreation of the office scene?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, with Jim?
With the Dementors. I'll find it.
Somebody did the Jello scene from
did
the
they
office.
Really?
Yeah, they did the Jello scene.
I gotta see that.
There's some people who were doing in Harvey's Island. They were putting on like Smash Bros tournaments with their villagers and like lining up folding chairs and the little LCDs with the little switches, and then having TV cameras and having their own little Evo. Like, there's been a lot of really interesting stuff, and it's fun to see the podcasts that are actually going like Animal Crossing style now. There's one like Break Room Arcade. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. Yeah. They do their whole podcast in Animal Crossing now.
That's so clever.
They have literally their set. They walk in, they sit down, and they record their podcast, which is so cool.
I love that. Black Bolt, this is a really good question. Do you think there is something in the game that no one has discovered yet?
Oh.
Like you mean in the existing game? Like in the game
now. No updates, nothing.
Oh.
That's really
data miners haven't gotten to everything yet.
Right.
All right.
That's true.
I mean, they're always coming up with like, there's kind of like trends in this game where it's like first you can duplicate items. I don't know if that's like finding something, but then there was like you can manipulate the rocks spawning in like a rock garden.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I feel like it's going to be more of that, like more trends.
Yeah. I mean, look, they put that mystery island back there, and I don't think anybody saw that was made and put in place for Red. So I am wondering, is there anything that we don't, that like it's there, it's in plain sight, we just don't know what it's there for? I think that, like Roger said, I think the dock is probably the biggest thing.
That'd be really cool.
Where like that could be something where one day you go down there and there's Cap'n hanging out like, yo, come here, let's jump in the boat.
Yeah.
Because everyone has a dock, everyone has a like peninsula, right?
Yeah.
Coming off their island, and then the back beach.
And they all have jetties too. The jetties are, man, I gotta be honest with you, I love the jetties. I think they're really, really cool. Like in terms of like there's these items that just they're there, you can't move them, and it is what it is. But like it's nice that people like I put my lighthouse on it, and it's just just different stuff you can do. It's really cool.
Sarah, I think this is a question for you, Bobby. Do you guys think that you will do your podcast in Animal Crossing?
I was supposed to do Breaking Bells in Animal Crossing, but the problem is trying to acquire all the things to do it. And then I got moved to a better Animal Crossing podcast. And
he said it, not me.
Away. So,
he said it, not me.
I only said it because you were thinking it. Stop it.
This one is interesting. Zudo Music says, what do you think of Animal Crossing websites such as Nookazon? For me personally, so these are websites where you can basically buy items, right?
Yeah.
You can trade
with the Nook tickets. Right.
To me, this kills the game for me.
Yeah.
Like time traveling is one thing, that's a different way to play. But I think we said this last time. It just like any item you want, you could just buy. That just feels like I feel like everyone just wants to speed up their Animal Crossing experience. And it's like
that's the way the world goes now, Pat.
Yeah.
It's Amazon.
Gratification.
There's like a wish list website, which I actually think is really helpful. And that, isn't anything bad. It just lists out all the items in the game. And if there's something specifically you need for your town, you can share the link to Twitter and people can submit saying like, oh, I have this item in my town, come on over. But there's not like an exchange thing. There's no like Nook Mile tickets or whatever. Though I'm assuming, it takes a lot of work to get all those Nook Mile tickets and then trade for items on something like Nookazon. But I certainly don't have the time. I barely have enough time as it is that I'm putting into Animal Crossing, let alone putting the time into doing all the Nook Miles things to then get tickets to then get extra stuff. So
I think what breaks the game is when you start like using like real world money.
I've seen that.
Cheap items or labor.
There's people selling bells on eBay, so It's like
yeah. Then it starts becoming like WoW and RuneScape, you know, where like people literally like their economy's so bad in the real world that they work in those games for actual money. Like that's insane to me. And I feel like Animal Crossing that's not what it's really about. I feel like what's really cool though is this is the first game that we've seen where like it's the most connected over the internet. And I think because, again, it came out at such a perfect time, people, like, this is what they do, and they're finding new and creative ways to be involved. So we're kind of seeing, like, an economic system involved in. And I actually, yesterday, you know, like, we really were diving into Nookazon and looking around, and I was, like, picking items to, like, put on my wish list. And there were some items and, like, variations I'd never seen before. And the thing with Animal Crossing is if you play this game, like, day to day, that's fine. I played day to day until I got KK, and I'm like, dude, I'm going back to my old ways, and I'm time traveling.
Sure, of course,
like, yeah, like, I always time traveled every Animal Crossing. So to me, like, the whole time being upset, I'm like, sweetheart. I'm like, sweetheart. If you mean to tell me you played Animal Crossing on GameCube without time traveling once, I don't believe you.
I've never time traveled.
I never did either.
Never time traveled.
Never did. Played every game. I don't do it.
Absolutely insane because I time traveled so much on the GameCube version. But anyways, so that to me it's like a petty argument.
God,
but I will say,
I see you in such a different light now.
The thing is, I will say, people who like travel years, but I'm weird. Like I'll time travel like maybe a couple days. Like back and then make my way forward. If I like miss today, I'll go back. But I don't go like years in advance. I never go past the current day. Like to me, that's like a point of no return.
It's your game. You can play it how you want. That's the one thing. Like there's varying levels to the time travel argument. I feel because there's some people who are like, oh, no one should ever do it. It's the worst thing ever. And I just like and I like me personally. I'm not like that. I'm like I don't time travel because it does like suck the fun out of the game for me personally. But I totally understand if someone's like, I have all these other games to play, and other stuff to do. I need this ugly bear to move out of my town. I'm going to jump 2 weeks to get them to move out. Like, I have no issue with that. That's fine. Like, you do what you want to do. It's fine. But I also completely agree with what you were just saying, right? Is that I don't think that breaks the game as much as, like, real-world currency would break the game. Like, people grinding for bells and selling it and stuff.
What was I going to say? Some items you might not end up seeing for like years in game time. Like there were games I remember like playing like the original Animal Crossing, like when items would come into rotation or you dig up a certain item, like it's a very long time before you see that item. And granted, they didn't have like color variations. Like the cute theme was pink and white. The modern theme was dark blue and navy. You know, like there was no variation of any sort. Also, is the modern set even in the game?
There's a lot of sets that aren't in the game at all.
I
mean, a lot of like classic sets that aren't in there.
It's like they pulled those sets out, and now they're trying to make you, not make you, but they want you to build your houses like real furniture. Like here's a kitchen set, and here's a sink and a refrigerator.
Well, it is weird because the cabin set is now really just the log set.
Yeah.
Like when you make the log furniture, it's literally the exact same as the cabin furniture. Yeah. So I do wonder if maybe they're going to do that later on.
Hope so.
Yeah.
The thing to me that's very strange is now Nook Miles or Nook tickets have become this crazy expensive thing because of specialty characters that you want. Like last night, my whole stream on Twitch last night was me trying to get Raymond. And the day before,
everyone's trying to get Raymond. You and everybody else, Bobby.
Listen, I got him, Roger. So don't even try it.
I believe it.
It was amazing. But it told me 38 tickets. It told me 38 tickets to do. But the thing is the day before I was trying to like get them, and people were like, "Yeah, one Nook tickets go for 1,000,000 bells because of characters like Raymond." And it's like, dude, I'm not paying 1,000,000 bells.
Wait, hold on. So I have a question for you though. Wait, because now I'm seeing a disconnect. Now I'm thinking what MissClick was talking about. How in the world are you getting the villagers to move into your town without time traveling?
I'm not.
Because
one villager.
How do you get Raymond?
This is what happened.
He really doesn't.
One villager moved out, right? Sure moved out, and I was like, okay, I know tomorrow he'll be gone, and I have 1 day to put a character in.
Oh, that makes sense.
So now what you do is
I was wondering. You
just start going to the island, and there's new characters there. So I went to the island. If it wasn't who I wanted, I left. I come back, get to the island. So
I misunderstood what you said. I thought you went on Nookazon or something, like spent all these tickets to get Raymond, and then you had to jump ahead to a day where you got a plot, and then you had to move in.
Because what happened was I spent all my Nook miles on tickets, and I got about 30 myself. And then I had said to the community, hey, if anybody wants to sell me Nook tickets, I'll buy them for bells. Like, I will pay you bells for Nook tickets. And a couple of them were like, well, they go for 1,000,000 bells a ticket. I'm like, yeah, no, we're not talking about that. Like, I'm not that crazy. Like, if I get them, I get them. If I don't, I don't.
someone was saying, because we were talking about Nookazon and stuff like that, they were saying, well, what's the difference between going to someone's island and trading an item? And I feel like at that point you're doing something different. You're like bartering, and like you're having chats of like, I want the iron chair, I'll give you like a gold nugget or something. That's totally different than me taking my credit card out and buying like a DIY.
Yeah. Well, there is like a whole thing actually. Some one of my viewers, I think he's in chat right now, Dr. Claw, shout out, man. He literally sent me like a whole thing on what he learned with Nookazon, in the sense of like when you write paragraphs, it's legitimately like, I can order you these items that I have with my Nook shopping app, which you do have to time travel unless you arrange a meeting for the following day, or I can craft you these items, but I need resources from you. So bring the resources and the bells, because you know, you don't have the DIY, or I can craft you these items, but I don't need the resources. So just bring the items. Or I will trade, this is what I have to offer. What are you offering? You know, and then we'll trade the items based on merit. So they do have different ways, and it is bringing barter, but like people, like the whole Discord server is like people saying, hey, I can make this for you. You know, I'm accepting this, this, and this, or bells. Yeah.
That's fun. You mentioned Discord server. This somewhat of a tangent, but I recently was introduced to like the main biggest Animal Crossing New Horizons server, just like whatever it is, like the general new Animal Crossing New Horizon like Discord server. Yeah. That was a nightmare. I didn't know what that was going on. I walked in, people are like screaming about certain villagers and items in their town. I mean, it was insane. I had never seen that many people in one place talking about Animal Crossing and discussing it in the way that they did, where everything was being quantified and it was like, oh, it's worth this amount of Nook Mile tickets or whatever. And to me, I was like, this takes away everything from the game. It's like the fun is discovering things. And I think what you brought up earlier too, where it's fun to go on these websites and see, oh, this different like variation of this item exists. Because then I know to ask my friends, hey, if this is on your item, could you trade me that? But at the same time, like seeing people talking about these villagers like they're just you know, little things that you get for your house. It's crazy.
The one thing that I love, honestly, about my Discord server and my community is we started building out a whole Animal Crossing section. Like, there's a section for trading fossils and DIYs and all that. And, like, I'll literally sit there during the day and watch people go, like, hey, Julian is building this on my island. Whoever wants to come, you can come talk to him and get the item. And like, there is none of that, like, hey, you got to give me this or you got to give me that. Like, everybody's just really good about working together. And I love that. Like, that just makes me sit, like, I'll sit there and look at the Discord sometimes and I won't even interact. I'll just watch what's going on. And I'm just like, man, this is what I wanted when I created Discord. Like, I wanted people to interact with each other in a nice, kind-hearted way and work together and create these things. And it actually just makes you feel good when you go, this is what I wanted and this is what's happening. And just seeing people like literally Joey Splats, a friend of ours, lost his whole town. His whole his whole thing went bad.
Sucks.
His save file went corrupt. Now, immediately you would think people would, typical things like you post it on Twitter or Facebook, what happens? Rage and people mad and they're all talking trash on Nintendo. Here, everybody's like, man, that's horrible. What do you need? We will give you everything you need to get you back to where you were. What do you want from us? And it was just like that whole just arms around wrapping. It was just like, that's what I like about this community and I love about this community.
Then it's also like the Nook Stop items where like I am fortunate because I have the red and white lighthouse where Bobby could have like a yellow one or something like that. And those items, I don't think you can get in your game legit.
I think you can. No. I still really badly want the red public seats. Like, I wanted that for my stage area, and I couldn't find anybody that had them. I have the pink and blue one, and it's so ugly. Oh, you have the red ones?
Yeah.
Could you order me one? I'm serious.
They're like the orangey red. I hate them. I hate them.
Please send me a red public bench. I need that.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. There you go. See?
Let me see. The Toxic Gamer says, if you bring villagers to the eShop or give some... Wait. No, that wasn't a question.
That was a question.
Okay. Do you think they'll make it so you can actually make bells by posting your designs?
Oh, that'd be cool.
I would love that. Like, one thing I wish they could do is like, and this sounds horrible, but like, I mean, we're streamers and content creators. Like, we're used to like affiliate marketing and stuff like that. Like, you have your design up in the shop, like on your town, or you have it online. Like, I would love it if you could get like insights, you know, like to where you could see like the the traction of like, you know, downloads and like people who have viewed your stuff. But then also like if they like pay like a very, very small fee, but you make a little bit of money, you know, off of people like using your designs. I think that would be really, really cool. And if anything, I think it would encourage a lot more people to post
to make
and share that.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
I'll go to the hashtags all over Twitter.
One thing they could do is something as simple as even a tip jar. So like when you're leaving the page, when you go to the creator page and you're downloading different designs, it's like, oh, here's a cute little bell tip jar, and you could leave like one, or you could leave like 100, or it doesn't really matter. It's like infinite, whatever. And then every day you log into the game, you know how like in the morning you get the phone call from Timmy and Tommy if you dropped things off in the drop-up box? I could see them adding it where you just get whatever you were going to get from the tip jar in like your phone call from Timmy or Tommy saying, hey, by the way, you made this much off of your tip jar in the design store, so here you go. Yeah. We're putting that in your ABD. That'd be kind of nice.
I would love to see something like Mario Maker 2. You can see like people upload levels, obviously, but it's like maybe if they had like a most popular design thing or like trending design or something like that.
Yeah, I'd love that.
They'd have to monitor it a lot. But,
yeah, because even if you look on Smash Brothers, like the most popular, most trending, you always get inappropriate stuff on Smashes. Like Nintendo says they moderate that, but I don't know sometimes. You get the stages with just like, it's a black screen and then legs, and you already know what it's going to be the second the black screen drops. It's like...
Okay. Oh, yeah. Someone asked about... It's Angel Girl, I think. My mom and I really miss the diving feature. Do you guys think that diving will be added to the game soon or at all?
Yes, definitely. If you watch the opening of the game, if you can remember, you go back and you play that game over. There's a whole like a package that they're showing, like a video package. At the end of the video package, the girl goes up on a jetty and she's wearing the diving suit. And I think that was kind of like a prelude.
And the museum has the diving gear too.
Yeah.
Well, that was another rumor too, right? Is they're adding a seafood portion of the fish encyclopedia. So like the way you would get those is you would dive. So I think whenever they add that, which will probably be with the dock and the pier, like we were discussing, that's when we'll get it.
I have a question. So like, I don't know if it's in New Leaf. Granted, like I'm trying to premise that I did not play New Leaf. With like coffee, or if we added like vegetables or other types of like food or consumables, would you want them to have like different perks? Like maybe if you drink coffee, like you run faster or something.
Oh, that'd be
cute. Like you like build faster or something. For
I definitely could see them, considering we have the fruit thing already in the game where you eat fruit now. I think when we do get the coffee shop, because you could already walk around with your coffee cups in New Leaf, there could be something where with each sip, because you'd get like 20 sips of each coffee cup or something, and then it would go away. I could see that being almost like an energy meter thing that you could buy, where each one you get like +1 to your fruit meter.
Yeah,
so, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
or like you harvest more wood or something like that.
Yeah.
Remember the mushroom in New Leaf where it would make you grow like Mario?
Right.
It would play the Mario sound, and you would get real big, and then you would shrink again. Yeah, that was amazing.
That was great.
Okay, I think that's about it. Thank you guys very much for the questions, by the way, in the chats. Before we wrap up, I want to say again that this podcast is now available on Spotify and iTunes, working on Google. So very cool. And also before we go, I wanted to give you guys a chance to kind of plug yourselves. So MissClick, where can they find you?
Oh, cool. Yeah, you guys can find me here on YouTube as MissClick Gaming. Other than that, I'm live pretty much every day and night on Twitch, and you can find me there as MissClick_live. Other than that, you can just find me on Instagram, Twitter as MissClick. I'm always here.
Cool. And Roger?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Instagram at Rogersbase. I was very lucky. I got that brand Unity, so it's Rogersbase on every platform. And I do a bunch of different like Nintendo reaction videos and things on my YouTube channel, as well as I cover anime and manga series. So if you're into that, definitely check that out. But the majority of my gaming stuff is on Twitch. I'm live pretty much every other day. I'm not as crazy as MissClick. I can't do it every day. But every other day, I'm usually on Twitch. We're currently doing a playthrough of Sakura Wars. And when that's done, we're going to get back to doing more Animal Crossing. So, yeah.
Sweet. And you guys know Bobby, but Bobby,
you can follow me Instagram, Twitter, and on Twitch at Nintendo Gurus. And then I am here on YouTube.com/Nintendo Guru. Yeah, so that's it.
Sweet. All right, guys. Thank you very much again for coming out. And
thanks for having us.
Yeah, so much fun. Yeah.
And next week we actually have Zach from Switch Force coming out. So pretty cool there.
Listen, can I say something before we go? Seriously. These two here, right? I love these guys to death, and I want to explain something to you guys. If you're not paying attention to them, you're not following them, you have to. Okay,
definitely.
If you're living under a rock and you don't know who MissClick or Rogersbase are, please go give them a follow and check them out. These two are the most gracious people in the world. I am telling you that as a 1,000 subscriber that my YouTube channel was, I reached out to Roger. He didn't know me from Adam, and actually came onto my channel and did a show for me called NintenTalk. I was gone for 6 months, out of the game completely, met MissClick, and I asked her to do a segment in a Guru Direct that I was doing. She don't know me from nobody other than an hour chat that I had with her on a podcast that Pat had called Planet Nintendo Podcast. She literally did the thing with me and for me, and it was amazing. And these two, anytime I ask them to do anything, it's never I have something else to do. It's when do you need me? When do you want me? Absolutely, Bobby. Like, it's seriously the most heartwarming thing in the world that these two are this amazing.
That's so nice.
Please go check them out.
And you guys seriously are our first guests. Like, Bobby was like, all right, who do you want on? And I was like, well, I want MissClick, and I'm meeting Roger, damn it.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. So, I mean, thanks again for having us. This is great. Yeah, for me, it's one of those weird things with collabs, right? Is people are always go like, oh, do you only work with people with this amount of subscribers or whatever? It's like, no, I work with people who I mesh with. Like, if I'm recording someone with something and it's like we have good rapport, like, obviously I want to keep working with those people. So,
and by the way, not only did Roger do the show, we sat on Skype for 2 hours, and he literally just gave me advice on my channel and everything I needed to do. So he is amazing. So
awesome. So thank you guys again. We'll see you next week with Zach from Switch Force. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.